Hey everyone, I hope you are all doing wonderful this morning. I um feeling tired this morning. I work in the mornings until about 9 o'clock, and towards the end of the week it just gets a little draining. But it's not even Thursday. It's Friday, right? You can tell how up on it I am. So it is Friday morning. This is my fifth out of 6 videos. Today we will be talking about unit studies. And then tomorrow I will be closing out this series by discussing unschooling and eclectic schooling. And those are very different, but I was trying to kind of fit things together to complete the series in 6 videos. So, um, we will go ahead and get started here. I want to remind you all of some upcoming things I have planned. As I said, tomorrow we'll be finishing up this series with unschooling and eclectic schooling. I will also be offering it will be a longer, more in-depth video about how to get started. Even though most of us are finishing up this school year, I know we're thinking about next year and planning for next year. So I want to offer some classes about getting started from scratch and about getting those plans set for next year. I really like to get my next year's plans in place before the summer, just because it makes me feel less stressed about the upcoming year. And I like to get things ordered. And then some upcoming series that are really excited. These series are going to be very much geared towards new homeschoolers. Sorry, I've got my little one here with me today again. The series is going to be geared towards new homeschoolers, as well as people that are not feeling confident in what they're doing in their homeschool. So I'm going to be offering a series from Confused to Confidence, where I am going to be giving you some of the top techniques that teachers use in the classroom. And I'm going to be offering a series called Tips for Today, which is going to let you create a lesson based with the materials that you have right in your house, not needing to purchase anything. This will be a great option for some of these short-term homeschoolers that I'm seeing popping up right now. So, without further ado, let's get started on unit studies. Let me get my notes here. Okay, unit studies are more of a method of teaching rather than a philosophy. So one thing you want to take note of, if you are interested in new unit studies, you are still going to need to present them with some type of teaching philosophy. So I often do unit studies through the summer, and I still present those using my Charlotte Mason philosophy of education. Unit studies can be presented using a very traditional approach to schooling. They can be presented using Montessori. We saw that yesterday, how some people plan their Montessori year solely by looking at unit studies. So this is a great way to present material, but know that you're still going to need to figure out in what context are you going to offer this unit to your child. Is it going to be student-led? Is it going to be a very traditional approach? But basically, what are unit studies? Unit studies are thematic units where all of your children are going to study the same topic. Thank you guys who are live, by the way. All of your children, feel free to type in some questions if you have them. All of your children will study the same topic across subject areas. So if I want to talk about forest animals, this might be something for someone who is younger, has younger children. But again, forest animals or the woods, I am going to be offering reading selections. I'm going to be offering factual texts. We're going to be out in the woods exploring that. We're going to look at the history of deforestation, maybe. We're going to look at common world problems that are happening. So, and then the great thing about unit studies is you can pull in interests from various ages. So my little ones, my 4-year-olds might be solely interested in the animals that live in the forest or identifying different types of trees, whereas my older children are going to be able to discuss some of those world view issues or world problems with forests and what do forests do for our what do they do for like our world as a whole? How do they affect greenhouse gases? That type of thing. So, across subject areas, you're going to be discussing the same theme. I can't really show you a schedule for thematic units because unit studies are child-led. You're going to want to pool studies or to pool topics that you know your children are interested in, or sometimes they're teacher choice. Like when I did preschool, I did only unit studies. And so obviously in August we were doing apples, and in September, I chose the units ahead of time and pulled books from the library. Library is going to be one of your best resources if you are using unit studies because you're going to want to offer a lot of texts that are about that unit, and we obviously don't want to purchase them. Okay, pros and considerations. Some definite benefits of unit studies. They can be very fun. They could be a fun break that you could insert in between terms. They could be something fun to toss in over the summer. It could be something that you're going to choose to follow through the whole year. Oftentimes, children love doing unit studies because it's directed towards what they want to learn. It is a very whole learning approach. You are taking a deep study of one topic and covering every aspect of it that you can. So rather than a streamlined knowledge of a lot of things, you're going to get a very specific and in-depth knowledge of a couple of things. It does incorporate weaker subjects if it helps you pull in. If your child does not really enjoy history, you can pull in some historical things without them feeling like they're solely studying history. So that is definitely a benefit. And then what I see as the biggest benefit as a homeschooling parent is I can teach all of my kids kind of on the same level. Even if I have young elementary to middle school, I can have chapter books about this topic. I can have picture books about this topic. We can go do the same activities, and I offer conversations that have a different level of understanding. I offer projects for them to complete that have a different depth of requirement. So that, to me, is what I see as the biggest benefit of using unit studies. Is it's very friendly to larger families that that want to be able to give attention to all of the students. And a lot of times we tend to let those older students kind of do more of an independent thing because the little ones need so much more focus. Some considerations that you need to think about if you're choosing to implement unit study. If this is your sole way of implementing curriculum, there will be some knowledge gaps. You're not following any type of chronological study. You're not following a standard course of study. So you want to be aware that, chemistry, something that doesn't often come in when you're dealing with unit studies, math, these are some aspects that you're going to need to plan for how you're going to fit them in properly and make sure your student has a full scope of those topics as well. Also, you might love unit studies, but you still need to determine in what method you're going to present this. Are you going to plan what comes next? Are you going to let your child plan what comes next? Are you going to determine what projects they do? Are you going to give them a choice? Is it going to be more hands-on, more textbook? So you still need to develop a philosophy of how you want to instruct your children through unit studies. And then the final consideration is if you are not purchasing the unit study from a site, it can be very time consuming to plan that. If you're tailoring it to the needs or the interests of your specific child, it can take some time to do the research as far as what books you want to pull. Go to the library, get those books. What projects do you want to offer? You really have to be able to plan a full course of information about that topic. There are some curriculums that are offered that follow a unit study approach. They are typically homemade. They are not a curriculum that's going to come from a company. So that is, again, going to take a little bit more research on your part. I don't have like, oh, this curriculum, and this curriculum follow this method, because as I've said, this is not a philosophy. It is more of a type of lesson delivery. So if you're interested in doing unit studies, I suggest you Google that. If you're interested in doing one on science, or let's think of insects, okay? Let me pull up, I can show you how I would do that quickly. Let me switch cameras. And so I would go up here to unit study on insects. And then I might also type in homeschool, because they are going to be offering different things based on if it's a public school purchasing it. And I'm going to be able to find a variety of things, a variety of probably privately based little stores that, here's the homeschool mom, I have purchased things from her before. So as you do that, you're going to want to make sure, though, that it's offering some of those higher level things. You might want to say, like, lots of times they'll group it into an age level, K3, K5. If you're doing elementary and middle, you're either going to want to purchase that K5 and adapt it to a higher level, or really look at Google specifically elementary and middle school. So when you're looking for curriculums, you're going to want to look specifically on the topics you're interested in studying. Okay, friends, that's a little bit of a shorter one today, but how do you know if unit studies is something that you think would work and be fun in your home? You don't like the separation of subject areas. You would like your child to learn about topics as a whole. You prefer a deep understanding of something rather than a breadth of information about a lot of things. And you're a little bit willing to put in the time to construct a curriculum, or to construct some resources from scratch. And some parents are able to do that, and some parents don't have that time or are not comfortable doing that. So those are some things you want to consider. Once again, I ask you to please share this video with your friends, share my page with your friends. As I begin to get into some of my other classes, I know it is information that people are asking for on the internet. So if you have a friend considering homeschooling, please share my page with them so that they can get access to these upcoming classes about becoming confident as a teacher. Thank you so much, Angela. There is a lot to consider when you're looking at how do you want to present this. School, how do you want to present information to your children? So, love to you all. Tomorrow morning will be my final session. A lot of misconceptions about unschooling. Join me because it will be an interesting one, and I will see you all later. Bye.